Hey everybody, today in this video I'm going to show you how you can turn a rough stone like this and a few others like it into a polished stone like this. Let's get changed and head over to the studio. Let me show you what we're going to be cutting today. We've got a few different things here. I might not get through everything with the time I've got, but we'll try to. We've got some malachite and azurite with gem silica mix. You can't really see too well the detail, and even from the outside, this is sure to change as we cut the stone and cut away layers, but this is a seemingly ugly rock. I mean, to some. But to me, I know it's got potential. Here's another one, similar copper-bearing minerals. Gem silica, azurite, probably some malachite in there. Who knows? It's going to turn out something nice, I think, as well. This is chrysocolla, and it's a very interesting piece itself. It's got weird formations on it, but it's what we want. We like blues. People like blues. Blues are hard to come by, hard color to come by in nature. Here's a garnet. It's hard to tell, but it's got like a purple color to it when you hold a light up to it. If I had a phone light, and I'm sure when I'm done I'll show you, but this is called it's a garnet from Idaho, a huckleberry garnet. Here's a piece of turquoise. This is what turquoise looks like naturally before you cut it into anything. Pretty unassuming besides the color, right? And here's a slice of quartz. This itself, I don't know what it's got, but I saw these cool formations, the quartz shapes, the crystalline structures showing behind, because I chopped off the tip, the points for another piece that I'm working on, but I kept the bottom so that I can polish these into nice stones. And then I have a piece of dino bone right here, fossilized dinosaur bone that I collected myself here in Florida. But anyway, so let's get this started and show you what the machines we're using. One. Gonna need some water. Okay. Drop it back. Put the guard back on. And when you're cutting rock, there's gonna be a lot of shards and stuff like that that flies off from a rock when you're cutting it. You don't want that. You really don't. Most of the dust will be caught up by the water and the mud, and it'll turn to mud instead of dust flying everywhere. If you were dry cutting it, then yeah, you would want like a respirator. But because it's wet, it's not much of a big risk. But I am going to protect my eyes, because you should always protect yourself when having fun. What I'm going to do with this, I'm going to take this rock. There's so much material here that I could actually cut a few stones out of this if I wanted to. This one in particular. The other ones are just fine to go ahead. But this one right here, I can cut 2 stones out of it, and I don't want to waste this nice material potentially just grinding it all away for 1 stone. And there's probably at least 2-3 stones in here depending on how I cut it. So I'm going to slice it in half and see where we go. Look what we got right so far. That's something. That is sure something. Let's see what happens when we polish it. Right. So let me tell you a little bit about the machine that we have here to polish and cut these stones. If you ever seen an angle grinder or a bench grinder, you would see a machine that works just about the same, except it doesn't have a water feed mechanism. Now we're working in a facility in a local gem club that allows us to have facilities that have water fed to the machine straight from a hose outside. Sometimes it's a gravity fed system with a bucket right over here. That's what I used to do when I had my own machine. I sold it off because it was too big for where I was living. But here, we just turn on the water. Now the wheels have water to them, and each individual wheel can get water to it as we switch it on. Now there's 4 different wheels on this machine in particular. Some will have more, some will have less. This starts at 80 grit, like sandpaper, 80 grit, 220, 600, and then 1200. This only goes up to 1200 on this machine, but if you look over there, we've got another machine that polishes up to 50,000. And 50,000 is a little excessive sometimes, but if you're doing a competitive or you're trying to really show off your polishing skills, I would suggest you use that. Typically we won't take it up that high unless we've got a lot of time on our hands or we're trying to make a really nice stone. Typically we'll take it up to like 5,000 and then polish it out with a cerium oxide or ZAM or another polishing compound meant for stones. But for now we've got to rough in the shapes of the stones, because if you haven't noticed, we've got a lot of rough stones that that's not polished. That's just not polished. Same thing with this, like that looks cool, but that's not polished at all. It's a rough rock. Some people might like that, but if it was going to be used in jewelry, it would be very hard to do that because there's no bezel, there's no girdle, or there's no girdle for the bezel. It's an inconsistent shape, so setting it would be tricky. It's possible, but tricky. It would just, a lot of weight. But something you've got to realize when you're cutting a stone like this is you're going to lose a lot of the weight, 70%, right off the bat when you're cutting down a stone like this. There's so much weight that's going to be lost, excuse me. But like always, before we have fun, we need to put on some protection so we don't. You can touch these wheels, they're not terribly aggressive. My fingers are fine. I don't have to wear gloves. These are just fine, all of them. Some of these valves are a little leaky, that's fine. But as I cut stones, you're not going to be able to hear me, so just you're going to have to watch. Let's start with the turquoise. Just bring the camera. Looking at this stone, on second thought, I could probably cut 2 stones out of this stone because it's kind of a weird shape. And I want to maximize how many stones I'm getting out of this little rock, because I could make maybe 2 rings instead of 1 ring, or 1 pendant and a ring and make a set, or maybe 2 earrings. So I'm actually going to cut this in half before I get too far. Be a nice little ring, it'll be a nice little main stone. Alright. So we're going to flatten out the back first so that we have something, or then we're going to try and rough in the shape. I'm not really sure how this stone will shape out, but it's going to lose a lot of material while we're cutting it, so we'll see what happens. going to go ahead and just pick a shape. It looks like it's already going into about a teardrop shape, so we're going to continue on with that because maybe it'll turn into a pyramid or a triangle, but sometimes you just gotta feel the stone unless you want a particular shape. Like I could still cut it into an oval from here, or I could cut it into a triangle. I could lose a lot of material and cut it into a square or a long rectangle, but I don't think I want to do that. I think a nice teardrop would do in this situation. I want you to stop that. Okay. Into me. So I just finished this stone right here, and you saw how long that took for one stone. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe we'll get to 6 other stones here tonight. I'm gonna start working on this one. Maybe this will be an easy one. I know it because I've cut one like it. And I know I want to do this garnet. I've been saving this one to do for a minute now too. I'm very curious to see if I can get the quartz crystalline structure that's showing through in the cab, and that would be very pretty. We'll see. But I'm also excited to do this one because that is some very exciting material. Bring it in here. This is some very exciting material right here. I think I might, I don't know, keep it whole or cut it in half, you know? I don't really know what I should be doing sometimes, but... Dad's watching this, you dumbass. It's the forbidden bath. The forbidden water. Do you get a bag with all the residue? I could collect all the water, and then I could, like the drain right here, all this water drains out to a system outside, and it doesn't go through the pipes because that'd be very bad. So I could collect the water and then dehydrate it, and then I could have a bunch of powder, but I don't do that. The powder might be good, but I think the powder would be toxic. I think my favorite gemstones, probably turquoise, opal. I like rubies and sapphires too. Oh, and vivinite. Vivinite's also a strong favorite. And gem silica also a strong favorite. Alright, so we didn't get to finish all the stones we started. That's typical. Not every stone can be finished within the time frame you start. And a lot of times you want to go back. But let's go take a look in the light booth so we can get really good light so I can show you these stones. So here's what we got done. We got a few different stones. I kind of got carried away doing the malachite, chrysocolla, azurite, gem silica matrix stuff because I just loved it so much. I didn't finish the quartz. I didn't finish, I think, a few of the stones I brought out. But what we did get done here is this dinosaur fossil. It broke in half when I started and it revealed a creamy inside. And you can see the bone structure, and it's a very light stone. So I had fun cutting it, but we'll see what kind of jewelry it ends up in. Got a little turquoise cab here. Can't forget about the turquoise. And that was very promising. That's how small that big rock turned into. When you're cutting a stone, you can typically lose up to 70% of that material from the start. Here's some of that gem silica, chrysocolla, malachite, azurite matrix. Looks very cool. It's got a little like window in the back there, the agatized part. Love, love, love the patterns and colors in this. Here's another piece. This is the one I saw and I was just amazed. So it healed here. You can see where it broke, but it's healed, self-healed with the malachite, it looks like. And this is the formation of like malachite, but it's blue like it's azurite. This is kind of rare and only happens in one mine. I can't remember the name of the mine off the top of my head. If we look at the back, you can see that it is malachite because it's green, but it doesn't show on the front because of the azurite that I guess formed with the malachite. But you can see these incredible, incredible patterns. Tried to give the best background here so you can see those colors pop. Beautiful, beautiful stone. Oh, and we got another one right here. This was a big favorite of mine. So you can see the agate going right through, the green malachite, azurite, gem silica. It's like the intercoastal waterways over here in Florida. It's a beautiful, beautiful stone. I honestly don't know how much of this material I'll see again. Here's one I started, but I didn't get to finish. I'll definitely go back and finish this one. You can see the little druzy cave in there. I think that's very unique, and I didn't want to cut it out of the stone. Didn't quite finish polishing it. We've got a lot of meat left in here. It's a very tall stone. I usually don't like them too tall, at least stones. And I just need to go back to it. I need to be very careful because we've got a pit right there we need to be careful of. Here's that garnet. As you can see, that purple color. It's a very deep purple. Let me see which is the best. There we go. You can see it's got some inclusions, but it's a very deep wine purple. I think it came out very nice. I want to go back and polish that up a little bit better. And here's a little agate slice I had. This is just something I wanted to clean up the edges on. I didn't polish the front or the back. I had this already, and I just wanted to clean up the corners for some jewelry I was going to turn it into. All of these myself I'll probably be putting into jewelry. So I like to cut the stones how I'm going to use them in jewelry. Like this one right here, I'm going to have a nice gallery, fancy bezel that's nice and high. But isn't it crazy how something like this turns into something like this? I mean, this is probably a sister stone, a mirror stone actually. You can see how they almost would go like butterfly wings. That's crazy, right? So, we've got a little bit more of this material left. But I think that's all I can do today. I'll definitely cut some more another time, save some for different projects. So we didn't get to finish all the stones we started today, and that's okay. But we'll come back and finish them another time. I'll post links down below where you can follow me on social media, on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, MySpace. I'm on most platforms. But for the next videos, I think I want to cut something a little more exotic. This one we cut some malachite, chrysocolla, azurite matrix, kind of a wild stone, but maybe you want some other wild stones like this fossilized palm wood or this Honduran pink opal. Those are pretty exciting. And I know a lot of people haven't seen stones like that. Let me know if you want to see more material and what material you might want to see me cut in future videos. Thank you so much for watching the video, and don't forget to give me a like, follow, share, subscribe. It's free, right? Anyway, thanks again.